to the show. I'm your host, Terry Covey, and this is the Living Above the Noise podcast, where we're reclaiming family life for the intentional Christian mom. Did you know that you can actually live above the noise in the world around you? You can't escape it, but you can live above it. I've been mom for over 40 years, raising 10 adults, and now grandmama to 23. I've been married 43 years and homeschooled for 30, so I have lots of hard-won lessons to help you find joy in this tiring and oftentimes confusing job of being mom. I believe we're called to live out the Word of God, and that's why I'm here, to help you think and live biblically, and offer you inspiration to step into your life as wife, mom, and home manager with intention, confidence, and trust. Whether you're not mom yet, have one child or a dozen, stick around as we discuss blending traditional with some outside-the-box ideas for family life, for raising kids who are capable of standing on their own and thinking for themselves in a world that's easy to get lost in. You're raising and influencing the future generations. You're leaving a legacy. So stand tall, mamas. You can do this. Now let's get to it. Hey, well, we're back again after a 2-week break, and I'm feeling like some of you I've heard are feeling that 2 weeks is a little long. So this week, I'm going to start that in-between podcast, which is going to be a little shorter and a little more freestyle. Now, why I'm starting it this week instead of last is because I'm not going to teach you or encourage you in something that I'm not living out. So why am I delayed? Well, last week we had our family artisan fair. We live across from one of the biggest arts and craft fairs in the nation. And when we first moved there, we realized if you can't beat them, join them. Because my family is a family of artisans and entrepreneurs, we added to our tent and we encourage local artisans and entrepreneurs to come and share their wares with us. And because I was so busy prepping for the big event, there was no way I was going to be able to put out a podcast. And this is a family venture. A lot of my grandkids are included. My son even came up from Houston and surprised us with 4 of his kids. And we all had a really fun time working and learning and growing together. So this is going to be the first of my freestyle episodes. Last week I shared that I'll be adding something fun, and that's a shorter podcast in between my main ones. I want them to be less instructive and more like the tips and tricks of life as a mom, as a Christian woman, and what living an oftentimes outside-the-box lifestyle looks like, and taking time to consider the whys behind the choices you make, and the advantages or rewards of it. I've been thinking of what to name these in-between episodes. There were tips and tricks, family hacks, calm the chaos, or my 2 cents, but none really described it in one phrase. Then the other morning, literally right in the middle of getting ready for our early morning fair startups, the word freestyle came to mind. Really, it was literally just out of the blue, and I knew it summed up the picture I had in mind. I think that's how the Spirit works, and I've just learned to listen and then move into it. So these are my freestyle episodes, more of a mashup of thoughts and ideas on a certain topic you might be interested in or have had thoughts on. Ideas and musings that hint at the foundation of our family's life, one that has seen the test of time or have had value for our family. Again, I'll remind you, take what you feel inspired by. Leave another for a later time in your family's history. And some just throw out because you know they don't fit your family culture. And that's the best about all of this and why freestyle works. You get to choose. These musings, thoughts, and ideas come from my 4 decades of trying new things. I think I've told you before, I'm a creative and maybe a little ADD in that I love to try new things, usually at the same time, and oftentimes I don't finish what I start. But if you know my story, I'm pretty amazed at what God did and how He used my freestyle mommying to produce some amazing kids and grandkids. I actually finished parenting well. Not perfect, but the hard stuff of raising littles and getting them to adulthood, I did it. You can ask my kids. To finish that was a pretty big deal for my distracted mind. You see, I love God and serving Him, but I also have lived with a fear of messing up. I'm an Enneagram 6 here. And so I've tried lots of things to see where they landed us as a family. Some succeeded. One that you're going to hear about in a future episode were our pizza movie nights every Friday night for 3 decades, and pizza movie night tickets to motivate my kids for probably 20 years. I'll share how we did that in future episodes. Some of my kids still use these ideas in their homes. They've made for some great memories. But there are other ideas that looked good on friends or authors I've learned from, but didn't work so well for our family lifestyle and personalities. And that's what I love about grace and God's unique design for each one of us. We actually get trial and error. We get to choose, and we get to move into it with the rest assured that God has us, and He'll show us the way. Believe it or not, we don't have to do it all the same. What works for one family or mom won't work for another. Some personalities can't handle early rising while others thrive on it. I just had a quick chat last week with my online writing buddy, Ruthie Gray, a coach, podcaster, and now author. She asked a question about those of us who are getting older and being in bed by 9 and being an early riser. I quickly wrote back to let her know I'm older, but I still love my reading time late into the evening. And I don't love getting up any earlier than 7. She wrote back just saying, I can't, with a laughing emoji. You see, we're all created uniquely for exactly the time and place God has us. And it takes a lifetime to really utilize all we have in us and figure out what and how to use our personality and talent in the best way possible. And I say we really need to have fun. Well, biblically, we can call it joy along the way. Life's hard enough. I think that's why God gave humans the gift of laughter and fun. I always say if we can't laugh, we're going to cry. So get to it. Have fun with life. So let's move on to the topic of this episode. It's about playing with your kids, and I've entitled it, A Family That Plays Together Stays Together. And I know, don't get mad that really when we pray together, we stay together. But I think that as humans, we need to play. Because play is really, really good for us. And I'm not just talking about when they're young. I mean all along the way. Just in the last few weeks, these are a few of the things I've done with my adult kids. I've played volleyball with my daughter's friends, age range between 20 and 35, and again with our family during the last of our summer barbecue picnics. And a few weeks ago, just before the weather turned cold, we wake surfed for the last time. I raced on roller coasters the other day with my 2 daughters and 4 of my grandkids. We danced at a fall dance party complete with 30-foot blow-up pumpkins. We shared in the successes of one another while we set up, tore down, and all the work in between during our family artisan craft fair I told you about. I rode bikes with 8 of our family members for my grandson's 11th birthday. We had our last boat ride, complete with sandwiches and great time to talk. We laughed and played salad bowl with our family and friends. Guys, and I always wonder if guys is the right term, but there's just not a great one for women friends. But anyway, I'll call you guys. Don't settle for all work and no play. Laugh and joke and play games with your family. Try a new sport that your kids are interested in. Teach them a new sport that you like. That's how we got to skiing and water skiing. My dad taught me at a young age. And this one is huge, and I mean huge. If they ask you to do something with them, do it. Go. Get out of your comfort zone. I guarantee you it will be worth it. And they'll remember it. And their friends will remember that you played right along with them. What you're telling them is that they are important to you. Their ideas are valid, and they as a person are valued. And they know you're willing to look like a fool when you're not great at something, but they know you cared enough to be there and try it with them. Psalm 103, verse 13 says, "As a father shows compassion to his children, so the Lord shows compassion to those who fear him." And I know in many ways that can be related to other topics. But even in this one, I just think it shows that we can be faithful parents when we show and care for what interests or concerns or excites our kids. And then there's Colossians 3:20 through 21. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. Well, what a better way to encourage our kids than to be a part of their life, to be interested in what they're interested in, and to share life with them, to share our interests, to do things together. It's just a massive way that we can encourage one another. And then the next verse I'll bring up, and one that I think all of us know, is Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So, I know this means so much more from a biblical sense, from a spiritual and faithful sense, that we want to train up our children to know and trust the Lord, to have Him be their Lord and Master, to surrender to His will. But don't you also think that it has something to do with character and values and morals and joy and laughter? All the things combined when we do things like play games and laugh and have sports and take walks and talk. I think that when we're developing a family culture, and especially as Christians, it's really easy to forget that it isn't just the godliness we're trying to instill in them. It's the art of being human together, the art of using our skills, our gifts, our talents, our physical abilities, our laughter, all together. As I continue on with all my episodes, I know we're going to be talking about this a lot as we move forward, living life as a family. And my main passion is reclaiming family life in a world that's telling you and me and everyone else that it isn't really important anymore, that it's too much work, that it's too much hassle, that you lose your freedom. I'm here to advocate for the family until I take my last breath. Family is the most important factor in the success of a culture. The ethics and values and faith you instill in your kids will reap future rewards in their families, their communities, and their culture. Take some time to think about that, to pray about that. Take some time to think back about how you were raised, what your parents did with you, or what they didn't do with you that you wish they had. Think about your friends. Think about things that made a difference as you were growing up, that excited you or discouraged you. Think about what you can do to invest in your future, in your kids' future, and in your culture's future. Here are a few things we did in the 3 decades that we had kids old enough to do things together with. Now, they're just ideas given to you just to show you a picture of life lived fully as a family. And if you've already got a family and you're already doing your stuff, then I say yay for you. But if you're not, and you'd like a few ideas, here's some that might maybe excite you a little bit. A lot of these came from our home education lifestyle. We would study something or read a book, and right away the kids or I would have an idea of, we should do this, we should go there, we should see something that related to the topic at hand. But a lot of these also came from interests of one or more of our kids. One we did for almost 20 years was Civil War reenacting. We had a daughter who loved history and sewing, and the guys loved guns and history. So it all just went together where we did reenacting. We learned to do ballroom dancing, Virginia reels. We sewed period authentic clothing, which was amazing. And that's how one of my daughters actually became a YouTube seamstress. But overall, it made for some amazing family weekends. And we even did school groups on Fridays when we would get there. We would teach kids from local school districts all about that era in history, how to cook and sew. It was just a really, really good experience for us. Another thing, my kids loved making movies together. We had one son who loved filming. They all loved acting. Actually, a couple of my sons loved filming. They all loved acting out a scene from a Bible or a movie, which led to several either full or part-time careers: photographer, videographer, drone pilot, camera movement designer, YouTube seamstress. You just never know what one thing they do for play turns into something they do to make money. We would snow ski. My dad taught me when I was 10. I taught my kids when they were somewhere between 5 and 8, and now we ski with our grandkids. My son taught his 5-year-old daughter last year, so we had 3 generations on the slopes together. That would make my dad so happy, and it certainly made me smile all the way down the slopes. My sons loved building things, so we let them build forts and help us when we remodeled and added onto our houses. One of my sons dug trenches for our foundation with a backhoe when he was only 12. And just yesterday, he sent me a picture of his 27-ton bulldozer he's using to build the Christmas Village in Texas. Believe it or not, my kids considered work to be fun for the most part. And then we had water sports like tubing, skiing, wakeboarding, and wake surfing. And these are all things we've enjoyed as a family for almost 15 years. My son bought his first boat, no loan, at 21. And yes, if you've seen my Instagram stories, you'll find me wake surfing with everyone else. No sense getting old before my time. And here's my last example about something else we did for fun as a family, because it comes with a little story and an exhortation for you. Dancing. We have done, like I said, ballroom dancing and 1800 style dancing for 20 years now. But we developed a love for it when we did that reenacting. The old reels, the quadrilles, the polkas. They're so much fun even for the younger kids. Such wonderful memories we have of our 5 or 6-year-old spinning down the center of a Virginia reel, or of my son, who was an amazing dancer, twirling my daughters or me around the ballroom with a good polka. And then just a few years ago, we hadn't done dancing in a while, and there was a local ballroom dance class offered. So 4 of my kids who were still at home at that time all took this class together. And yeah, most of us made fools of ourselves, but man, did we have a lot of fun. One of the other students who were parents of, I don't know, maybe a 10-year-old, talk about how nice it was to watch us all dance together. I remember her commenting, it's just so amazing to see you guys all out here together. And I told her that she should bring her kids next time. The one thing that caught me off guard is right away she kind of backed up and said, oh, that would never work for us. That her kids would probably think it was odd or they'd feel stupid dancing with their parents. And how she probably wouldn't have as much fun with them there. That made me kind of sad, because if we never try, if we never step out, if we never just say, hey, why not? We never get the chance to see the blessing of it. We never get the chance to build that relationship and camaraderie with our kids. So I guess in a way, I'm either a bit naive or a bit stubborn, because I think we've just got to cut loose, pun intended, and give things a try together. Honestly, you'll probably be surprised. So I'm encouraging you today, find some things you can do for fun together. Don't be like that woman at the dance class and already kind of poo-poo it and say, nah, I can't do that. I won't have as much fun, or my kids won't have as much fun. Just get out there and try some new things. I think you'll be surprised. Maybe take some time today. Make your bucket list of what you guys can try this year. I dare ya. Okay, so that's it for my first freestyle episode. I hope you liked it. It wasn't all perfectly edited, but I just wanted some time to just share, some time for you to see kind of the other side and give you a picture of what life could be like. Something different than maybe what you see around you. And I'd like to challenge you a little bit to be different, to live a little bit outside the box, and don't let anybody tell you that it's not okay or that family's a bummer, because it's really not. Family's pretty amazing. I've said it before, there's no gain without risk. So if you're called to raise your kids differently, called to live outside the box, live a little crazy or old-fashioned or unique in any way, well then, I say go for it. If your motives are pure and you're running with God and not against Him, you can trust Him to let you know when to change course and when to keep moving forward. Stay the course and teach your kids to do the same. And remember, there truly is freedom in living above the noise. Now, coming up next episode, like I promised before, we're going to be talking about family mission statements. I'm hoping to encourage and inspire you to come up with a future view of your family life. Now, you can connect with me at my website, livingabovethenoise.com, where all of these episodes and a whole lot more I have in blog post form. I have mentor coaching if you want more one-on-one input. You can find me on social media. I'm more active on Instagram. You can message me there. And please follow this podcast so you won't miss an episode. And do share it with someone you know who you think would be blessed by it. Thanks so much. Now go have some fun with your kids.